It's okay.
All right.
I got nothing to do today.
Oh, great. Okay.
Make it a 4-hour one.
Oh, heck no. I ain't editing all that, bro. I'm good. He wants to go home.
Just start flashing the light when I need to stop talking.
Yeah. All right. Echo, yo. Hello.
Hello.
You like jazz?
I like jazz, yeah.
Dude, Dean Martin is so good. Along with Frank Sinatra.
Oh, I mean, Sinatra's classic.
My way, my way. I know Frank Sinatra's good. I'm trying to think. Who are the other
More
people?
of an instrumental jazz guy.
Have you heard the low lamp? The lamp is low.
Mm-mm.
Oh, that's good. It's a nice guitar. Oh, do you know Ladyfingers?
No.
Okay. Do you know? Have you seen?
I'm really bad with names.
Yeah. Have you seen
So it's
Avengers Endgame?
Yeah.
You know when they're at the very end and Steve's dancing with Carter. That song is called A Long, Long Time. It's like.
Here's the thing. Oh, yeah. See, like, if you play it, I can recognize it. But names, like, I just can't do names. I don't know. It's like.
I don't know. A lot of people have a struggle
People's
with
names, like, song names, like, anything. It's just not my thing.
No. I geek out about it. And I remember my last girlfriend, like, I would be so uptight about it because the song would play. And I'd be like, you don't know the band and the album that this was on? How do you even appreciate this music? But
And then you guys broke up because of it. I mean, it's a really tragic story.
What?
Were you guys still dating?
No.
Okay, so you said last girlfriend. So I said, yeah, that's the downfall of the relationship right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. She
couldn't match your music
just
taste.
couldn't appreciate. Okay, she couldn't. What was that one band? What was it? First of all, she couldn't appreciate Kanye. So.
Oh, dude, why were you guys even dating?
Exactly.
In the first place?
If you don't know, but she didn't appreciate Childish Gambino, and I was like.
Yeah, that's double red flag.
I know, and I was
in my
blasting
opinion.
like Bonfire, and I was like, you don't like this stuff, man? I was like, no. Oh, we're good to go. All right. When is the red light gonna come on? Oh. Okay. So I can just look in. Oh, okay, there we go. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the second episode of Taco Time. Today, I am here with someone who's very, you could say, very outspoken. That might have a bad connotation. If it does, I don't mean it to. But someone who's very, I would say, well-versed in expressing their opinion. And that is none other than Ian Bowden that we have here on the show today. Ian?
I'd say that's definitely an accurate description.
Okay.
I'll give you that.
Thank you. All right. I'm glad I got that.
Didn't hurt my feelings too bad.
All right. Well, that's good. All right. Okay. Yeah. No. Last time I was with Ashton, and I pronounced the lead singer like her last name wrong. Annie whatever.
Matot?
Yeah, Matot. I said Matot.
Went to middle school with her.
I said Matot,
man.
and he didn't correct
Didn't do
me.
your research?
No,
What?
I did. I didn't know it was pronounced that way though. and I was
Ashton's
like,
the best,
oh.
dude.
Yeah, I never met her. So.
Makes me want to play the drums. What a great kid.
Yeah. No, surprisingly too, Ian, you also like jazz, yes?
Yeah, I'm a new jazz fan. Recent.
Jazz. Was that through the conversion of Ashton?
Yeah, partially. Ashton has been a part of it. Partially through movies.
Yeah.
I was forced to watch La La Land, and then
Who forced you to watch La La Land?
Maddie Bajan forced me to watch La La Land, and then I watched it, and it was a beautiful, amazing movie.
Dude,
and
Ryan
then,
Gosling is
Ryan. The fact that Ryan Gosling did not get an Oscar for that,
his
like,
Oscar,
dude, he literally carries the movie. It's ridiculous. I mean, it's absurd. Yeah. But no, the jazz in that movie was so good. And then, I mean, Whiplash was already one of my favorite movies. And then I watched it again recently, like just really solely focusing on the music, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm missing out. So I mean, honestly, like the Whiplash soundtrack is like that's some of my favorite jazz. It's so good.
Yeah, it really is. All right. So for the audience, if you don't know, today we're doing something different than last time. We have 3 different sauces here. Okay, so we have a hot. We got the fire, and then we have Diablo. Ian doesn't say he fares well with spicy foods, so it's all right because the tacos aren't spicy themselves. The sauce might get them. But every questions, we'll throw some hot sauce on these tacos, and then we'll eat them. So
we're gonna need a tissue box here. I'm just gonna put that out there. It's gonna get bad. All right.
Yeah. All right. So, Ian, my first question for you is, what is your understanding of Christianity? Because you're someone who attends the King's Academy. This is primarily a faith-based institution.
Yeah.
They force you to take a Bible class every semester. I would ask, like, is your understanding of Christianity, is it more of just a way out of the anguish of death for people? Is it in trying to understand who we are? What would you say is the best way to put Christianity?
Well, in terms of the origin of it, I mean, obviously Judaism was born from Judaism, which is one of the oldest religions known to man, extremely deep history. There's a lot of great teaching that has come out of Judaism, and then I guess Christianity was born from that, and I think that was due to, obviously, to Jesus. I don't think he resurrected, but I mean, obviously he was an incredible person, and he was able to amass such a following as to create his own religion, which is just that's incredible. And I mean, as to why most people are Christians, I mean, it's probably because of the Roman Empire, and also kind of colonial England as well.
Would you say that religion's
the
kind
British
of like,
Empire?
Was it like basically like an effect to the oppression of the Roman Empire? You'd say that people were seeking a like haven to the oppression?
Well, I mean, really, most people were forced to convert under the Roman Empire. I mean, when Constantine adopted Christianity, to my understanding, you were forced to convert or you were going to be killed. And then also when Rome continued to conquer, if you did not convert, then you were killed. I mean, obviously people have more of a choice now.
Constantine, though, because with Nero was killing Christians.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nero was killing Christians. So
yeah,
it's a both and, because then people wouldn't want to become Christians because Nero was killing them, and then you have Constantine who was forcing them.
Yeah, I mean, well, the thing is, when Nero was killing Christians, I mean, Christianity was
quite literally flourishing. I mean, that's
I
would argue
it was very small.
I would say it was small.
It was still in its infantile stages. I mean, it was, Jesus had only died 30 something years ago.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, it spread pretty much so because through the persecution of the church, it spread.
Yeah, and now, not as much. I mean, obviously, in the 21st century, there's not really forced conversion as there used to be.
Yeah.
But I think people still go to Christianity. I think it's still growing. I believe it's still growing. And I think the reason for that is, like, the reason that religion has always existed is so long as we have recorded history of humans. And it's the fear of death. I think the fear of death is just a motivating factor for everybody who lives. Yeah.
I would say, I know it's more of a theological, it's more like I don't want to say Sunday school answer, but I would say people probably end up worshiping something. Okay, well, what is worship mean? I would say that people, one way or another, are going to end up making a idol and
idolize something.
You're going to idolize something in your life. It's going to be your driving desire.
Yeah, I think, who was it? Was it Paul who first came up with that idea? I think it originates in the New Testament somewhere. I mean, obviously, people always idolize something. There has to be some sort of meaning for going forward. Yeah. Whether that be intellect, whether that be some hedonistic pleasure, whether that be God, there's always something that's the driving force for life. And I think
Can I ask you something? Mm-hmm. I know this is, this sounds weird to say, like, what is your driving force for life? That's what I would say, coming from your worldview. Not just that you don't have one, but I actually would like to know, because you're talking about how people have them. What would you say is your, like, driving force?
Yeah, I try to be just, like, self-aware in that, like, psychological aspect. Like, of course, like, the common psychological themes that affect all people obviously affect me. I don't have, like, the hubris to, like, deny that. But I would say my driving force, my meaning, like, it really comes from the pursuit of knowledge and the pursuit of truth. I just have it just seems so innate to me, and I don't really know why. But I've always just had that want to understand things, and I mean, obviously, like, the greatest reality, just to solve and understand things, and obviously, like, reality is the greatest puzzle ever created. Our universe is just basically a giant puzzle to me, and I enjoy trying to figure it out. And I mean, that's what keeps me going every single day, to be honest with you.
Just try to find the truth.
Yeah, it's pretty much just trying to seek the truth. It's just like an itch that can never be scratched for me. And so I just keep going every single day. And I mean, also kind of ideas that come out of Camus is like life seems so absurd and unlikely and weird, and it's just like to throw it all away, to do something meaningless with it. Doesn't really it seems like a waste to me. I mean, I think you probably only get one shot at life. And it's just such this incredible thing. Like, why would you throw that away?
I agree with you. I share that shame too, though. I mean, I'm a Christian, but I always struggle with like what is the next answer to how I have to explain and defend my faith? Because if I let it just drift off, I mean, that's no faith at all, you know. So
yep.
It's just that constant itch of trying to find the truth.
Yeah.
All right. We'll take it. So, Ian, you value the freedom to express. I mean, that is very apparent.
Yeah.
If you think you lost that, do you think that you would lose your identity?
That's a really good question. I mean, I feel like there's a part of me that would feel like lost, like it's not there. But I mean, yeah, I think that would suppress a really important part of me. I think it would suppress one of my greatest desires, which is to converse with other people and to dig with them and to find the truth. I mean, if you have, I think every tyrannical society that has ever suppressed that right has in some way degraded every single person who's under that rule. It's stripped away a part of their identity. I think I would be the exact same as that. I think it's such a fundamental thing, and I think we're losing it. Most importantly, in our society,
in American
today.
Society,
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I know, because there's a bit of controversy over that's like, well, you know, you do say I accept the terms and conditions to this website, and I'm like, yes, but you as an American have certain values, and like, in other words, have an identity, and by you signing it away, you're allowing that to become a part of the culture.
I mean, particularly with social media, the thing is like, it's such a, I mean, when the Constitution was originally written, there was no way for the founding fathers to anticipate social media, which, yes, I'm private businesses need to have their rights, but when private businesses start to create spaces in which are fundamental to the communication of the political climate of the country, I think you need to extend people's constitutional rights to that, even if it encroaches slightly on the freedom of private businesses. I think with Twitter, or as Twitter was, now X, I think, is doing a significantly better job. But the way that Twitter was suppressing people on both sides, but mostly on the right, was tyrannical. I think it was not democratic. I think it was extremely damaging to society, and I think it's played a role in this incredibly polarized society that's been created out of that.
Yeah, because now you have two sides of both the liberal and the Republican. It's now there's no in between. There's no common ground that can be found.
Right. Well, the thing is, there is a lot more common ground than people think.
I know, but that's the thing. But it's so polarized.
They're not willing to seek it anymore. They're not willing to seek it. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
Yeah. All right, you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
Let's do it.
So,
all right, you know what the strategy here? There's one hot taco without lettuce.
Yeah.
And there's two with lettuce.
So which one do you want to do?
I'm going cheesy. So this is like a quesadilla taco.
Yeah.
With the least hot sauce.
Okay.
Because I'm thinking that lettuce is gonna help me, man.
Is that in the silver tin foil or is that in the? Is it this one?
This one, the one that you got already.
Okay. All right. So guys, we're gonna do just the regular hot sauce first. Oh man, dude, this looks good. Most people don't think that when they go to Taco Bell. I gotta be honest though, it's so cheap. I'm so happy.
Oh man. All right.
Have you ever had Taco Bell?
I'm a Crunchwrap Supreme guy.
Oh, dude, so am
faithful.
I.
Faithful
dude,
to
Crunchwrap
the
Supremes are so good.
All right, cheers.
Yeah, cheers, dude. What were you thinking?
I just hit the spot.
I know, that's good.
That's not hot sauce. That's ridiculous.
Maybe the last one won't be so bad. All right.
Pride cometh before the fall, huh?
Yeah.
Better hold my tongue.
Yeah. So moving forward, Ian, you're someone who is a proponent of capitalism. You really push for that, and as seen in our A push class.
Yeah.
Why? Oh crap! No. All right, we gotta do another take. It's fine. I forgot my dumb question, dude. It makes me so sad. What is it? Oh, yes. Okay, wait. I didn't forget my question, guys, because a quote went along with it. That's why. Okay. So my question to you, Ian, is greed good, coming from your agnostic view? Let me throw this out to you first. Greed is right. Greed works. Greed clarifies, cuts through, and captures the essence of the evolutionary spirit. Greed in all of its forms, greed for life, for money, for love, knowledge, has marked the upward surge of mankind.
Fascinating quote. Who said that?
That was from the movie Wall Street.
Fascinating quote. Here's the thing. I think that quote is conflating desire and greed. I think the will to act in one's self, or the desire rather to act towards one's self betterment, is fundamental to human flourishment, of course. And that comes from this like certain value for human life that just seems so innate. I mean, that just seems to me like the vast majority of people just have that. And I really don't know the reason for that. I mean, I could hypothesize, but it would be futile. It would be unnecessary. But in a capitalist system, working for your own betterment is not always necessarily greed. So I would say working for your own betterment at the expense of other people, that is greed. And I think that is bad. And I think we should try our best, without encroaching on people's rights, to limit opportunities for very damaging greed. Okay. And I think we've been more successful as of late in doing that. And here's the thing.
Yeah.
Very important point. Greed is not only found in capitalism. Greed is a part of human nature. It's a temptation that every single person has felt. And it will manifest itself in any sort of political or economic system that the human being can construct. I mean, and here's the thing. In a capitalist democracy, the people are given the most power to combat greed. In an autocracy, it is not so. In fact, it gives the greedy the tools to rule over
to keep the
other
greed
people
inside the system.
Exactly.
The gap of wealth only grows wider.
Exactly.
In those
I mean, that's been seen with every
you have Russia,
autocratic
Cuba.
system ever. I mean, when you give somebody that power, more often than not, tyranny ensues. And I mean, yeah, of course, there's been good monarchs in history. But I think there's something fundamentally wrong with that sort of system. And I think we need to try our best to get away from that. And especially now, we need to defend ourselves. We need to defend that system that our founding fathers built. And I think it's really under attack. I think it has been since the 70s. Probably before that. I mean, obviously it's been attacked as long as it's been alive, but particularly the way that unelected officials have influence in today's society is just absolutely unacceptable. And And
what do you mean, what do you mean elected officials? Like influencers, or you just mean like?
No, like particularly lobbying, the CIA. I mean, for instance, the JFK assassination. There's significant evidence that the CIA was involved.
Wait, you're serious?
Absolutely, 100%.
Like
yes.
That's undisputed.
I think it's a fact at this point.
A fact? Okay.
Yet, every single president since then has not released the JFK files. There's just absolutely no reason for it. And precedents like that are what is allowing unelected officials to rule our country. The fact that the CIA, a government organization that is supposed to work for the betterment of the people, is brutally murdering a president of the United States of America, and the people can't even know about what happened 50, 60 years down the line.
So can I be honest with you? So, audience, if you think like that's a mad conspiracy,
research it further, please.
I would lean to your side, but there's something known in the governmental department known as, I forget what it's called, but it's known as intelligence. It's a certain sector of intelligence, though, where the government, quite literally, it's a division that is meant to learn how to best influence people in the country. You'd say, well, that never happens. If you look at China, when China went through a one kid policy, all the ads were then displaying the one-child family as the best family.
Mm-hmm.
It's not unheard of for the government to try and influence the people. So I think what Ian is saying, is it a bit outlandish? For me, yes. I would say, and I've never done any research.
Here's the thing. If the CIA is completely clear, why are the files not released?
That's fair. But, I would be a little shocked by that, you know?
Even Trump, who vowed to release them, goes, if you know what I knew, you would not release them too. Like, what does that mean? Like, where is the clarity in our democracy? It's absurd. And I think it's the greatest issue threatening our system. And I'm going to defend it. I want to defend that system as hard as I possibly can, because I was born in it and I love it, and I love the United States. I love democracy. I think it's the best system I think it's the best governmental system that humans have ever created, and I think it's under threat, and I think it has been for a long time, and I think we need to do our best to defend it.
Amen. No. All right, Appleby, we're gonna take a gap. I have sauce all over
napkins.
My hands. Yeah, we need napkins. Not bad. I'm gonna ask one more question, and then we will
go for another taco.
And then go for another taco.
Fire!
Yeah.
I might be a serious one then.
Shoot. Are we ready? All right. Yeah. So guys, Ian might have spilled some sauce on the table, so not cool, man.
Fake news.
Yeah. No, that's real.
Propaganda.
Although, the files are not sealed for this.
Conspiracy.
It was right there.
No,
so,
the camera didn't see it. Didn't happen.
Hey, the camera don't lie.
All right.
So next question I have for you, Ian, is about ethics.
Okay.
When it comes to ethics, Alex O'Connor is the first person I've seen to pose this question. He said, is ethics really a system of understanding, or is it just our emotional response to certain situations?
It's interesting, because I actually agree with Alex on this one. I think I would consider myself an emotivist. That is, I think the source of our moral intuitions is emotional. So I'd like to say, when we see a murder and we don't like it, I think that's a negative emotional response to murder. So I would say that is what I think. That is how I think morality was born. And I think that's how I understand what ethics is at this point.
Is that it's emotional? It's an emotionally driven system.
Yeah.
Because I saw him pose a question. He was like, "Well, if we can save 5 people by harvesting the organs of one person,
right?
Wouldn't we not do that?"
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, we're losing.
It's because utilitarian logic just seems not to work with our moral intuitions.
Yeah, because it lets go of the emotions. It says, well, what is the best outcome for all?
Yeah, and I point to Christianity for one of these. One of the things I talk about with Christians with this is like, if morality is really something that we can like reason to, then why are Christians in particular so bereaved by death? If your loved one is really going to some magnificent place where they can spend eternity with God, why is that a sad thing? Why?
Oh, so why do funerals occur, kind of deal?
Why are we bereaved by death? Like, why is that a thing?
Yeah, and I think that is an emotional response there.
I think, yeah.
Because you said we have to.
So
I think people are just genuinely sad that for the rest of their life here on Earth, they're not going to have that person in their life. And you could argue, well, you should be happy because it's a greater good for them, but you yourself look back and say, I want that person still in my life while I'm still here.
Right.
You know?
What about this though? Like, if that's really where the sadness of death comes from, let's say this.
I'd say it's a temporal sadness.
Yeah, I mean, I think the deepest sadness known to man comes from death. I think I would say that. But like, think about this situation. Like, if your friend is shipped off to like some Pacific island and you're never gonna see him again.
Yeah.
Compared to as if he dies.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, by
There's
that
no
logic,
difference. There's no
there
difference.
shouldn't be any difference in the emotions that you feel.
Dead.
I mean, you may cry.
Yeah.
You may miss your friend, but you would certainly be more sad if he died, if he was brutally murdered.
Yeah.
You know. So, and again, I think it comes from that emotion, that emotional response, the fear of death, the fear of the finality of death. That's where the emotional response to death comes from, is really...
I would seem to disagree with you there. When you talk about, not to say that there is an emotional response when it comes to death. However, what did you say? You said it was the ultimate fear, yes? Like,
I would say it's the
ultimate fear. And the reason why that was because it's of its finality.
Yeah. And
with Christians, you'd say, well, it's not. Well, you believe it's not to be the finality. Mm-hmm. So then why do you fear it so much? Why do you fear it so much?
And there are some Christians who do not fear death.
Who do not fear it, yeah.
But there are very few Christians who are not sad, who are not deeply saddened to the point past of missing their friend at death.
Yeah. And is that a problem, though?
Yeah, I would say so. I would say it's inconsistent with their faith.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I would say, like, when soldiers, like, there's patriotic soldiers, people are willing to die for their country, and there seems to be no fear of death in them. There might be. I mean, I can't tell you the heart of every soldier out there, but some people might very well be out there knowing that, just take any war, and they realize, I have no job, I have no money, I have no family. I would love to die out here on this battlefield.
So I think,
and
there's always these people who are suicidal.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, that's a different conversation.
That is a different, yeah.
But I think in terms of the willingness to die on the battlefield, a brave death, again, comes from the fear of death of the ones that you love, or the fear of death of your fellow countrymen. The very idea of the sacrifice is saying, my life is less important than all of yours. It's kind of like a way to compromise to yourself, to convince yourself and say, okay, I have a fear of death, but the fear of death that I feel of all of those other people, well, that's a way bigger fear. We're just weighing our fears here.
Well, I would say take the martyrs of Christ. They believed that when they died, they were dying for something greater. I mean, would you apply the same logic there?
I'm sorry, I'm unfamiliar with the... sorry, I am self-admittedly not as familiar with the Bible as I should be.
Dude, you're fine.
So I'm vowing this summer. So I want to go cover to cover on the Bible. That's my goal.
So James, the son of Zebedee, was killed by the sword by Herod. James, the brother of Jesus, was tossed off the temple after not conceding to repute what he said about Jesus. We have Paul. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Paul was beheaded. All these
to
other
my
disciples
knowledge,
have all died brutal martyrs, except John. John, I think, was the only one who didn't die to martyrdom. But they all died brutal deaths. And I'm asking, are we still going to apply the same logic there? And even further, Jesus said, greater love is known than this, that you would lay down your life for one's friends. Do you think there's still a fear compromise going on there when Jesus said that?
Yeah, I think they definitely still have that fear of death. I think in terms of the martyrs of Christianity, I'm not entirely convinced by the evidence that they were, at least the earliest martyrs, the Paul, the Peter, the James. I'm not entirely convinced by the evidence. I could explore that more, that they were martyrs.
Yeah.
But even if they were, I'm still comfortable admitting that they still had the fear of death, but they believed that they witnessed Christ in the flesh, and that.
And I'm saying that I think they have no fear of death if you're going to go to that extent for martyrdom. Because I feel
I think it diminishes their fear of death.
The argument that if it was a lie, then that fear of death would overtake them quite. I think the fear of death would overtake that lie.
Well, I don't think it's a lie. I don't think they're lying. I don't think that wouldn't really make any sense. I think they definitely believed that they experienced God.
Yeah, and I'm thinking.
But and that's one thing. I think like religion is one of those things. Like there's two things that can trump the fear of death. Even though I still think it is the greatest fear, I think it's still the most driving force of human beings in general. There are two things: religion and zealotry. And I think those two things are often intermingled, intertwined.
Yeah.
But that that religious meaning and that extreme emotional response to a cause and zealotry, like I mean, the best example is nationalism of the Nazi Party. Those two things can help people overcome that fear of death, and I think. In the case of Paul and Peter and James, they really believed that they were going to meet God in heaven. But here's the thing. To go on and stretch that and say, because the fear of death is not completely gone, to go on and stretch that and say, but how confident are you to like, I guess, send other people into heaven based off of the knowledge that you have of God? Like, I guess I would say, like, in Paul and Peter and James' situation, after they experienced God, were they so confident that, say, if they knew that they were going to convert, say, 1,000 people, but it was going to lead to their death.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Every single time, they're going to die, but you're going to convert them. Yeah. Would they still do that?
I think they probably would. I mean, Paul does write, I would rather... I think he does talk about it. He says, I would rather lose my salvation to see others so that they might gain it. Which is a heavy statement.
But again, then he's making that self-sacrifice. But this
I know, Stu, he's saying
idea
he
of
loses salvation. In other words, he does not enter heaven.
Right, yeah, but that's still, he's sacrificing himself. In this other situation, he's sacrificing 1,000 other people. That takes like this crazy level of confidence.
Oh, you're saying wait. You're saying sacrifice.
Well, they're not necessarily being sacrificed, but they will die.
They will die.
Yeah.
For Christianity, for the cause of Christianity. Yeah. Okay.
Because I think it definitely takes like a next level belief for that.
Yeah, and I think
that's like the next level.
Because the whole miracle
when you're willing to send other people to their death, and a lot of them.
I mean,
that's
the only way you could do that is to say, well, they're going to meet.
Exactly.
Christ. Yeah, exactly. Christ has risen,
and it would be the logical thing to do.
This thing, I would ask, well, why are you sending 1,000 people to their death? And do you need to send 1,000 people?
Well, it's just a hypothetical situation.
Yeah, and then
if they were, I mean, rather than die now, knowing God, than dying 50 years from now and not knowing God, right?
Yeah,
would be the logical thing to do, right?
Okay.
But I still, if Paul and Peter and James, I don't know if they would have done that.
Yeah.
You know, there's really no way of knowing, but it's just it's a thought exercise.
The two main things that would push someone to that is religion and zealotry.
Yeah.
In the case of Jesus, do you think it was religious? Because we know for a fact, I don't think it's disputed that he did die on a cross. I would say that. Like he absolutely died. He rose can be disputed. But
he definitely died.
He definitely died. Like that's with like
that's I'm with you on that one. He definitely died.
He definitely died. Would you say that his the reason for his death was out of fear, was out of zealotry, or was out of religiosity?
The reason that he died is because he was killed.
Yes.
He was killed.
I'm asking why though.
Killed.
At no moment did he rebuke the fact that he was the Christ. Like what would, in other words, what would cause him to go to the cross? Was it his religiosity? Was it his zealotry? Was it his, what's that last? You had another one, or the fear of death, or just like fear in general that caused him to go to that. Like in order for him to get to that point and say, okay, I'm not the Messiah.
Jesus definitely believed,
because he had to be
either he believed he was God,
yeah,
or he believed he had a very strong connection to God.
Well, he based off what's written in the scriptures, he did believe he was God. It wasn't like oh, I might. He said before Abraham was, definitely, I am.
That was in John though, and here's the thing.
What's the problem with John?
John is significant. We know John is later than the Synoptic Gospels. Oh. So I haven't come to a conclusive opinion as to whether Jesus did claim to be God while he was alive. I think there's evidence on both sides. I'm leaning towards the fact that he
says to Pontius Pilate, I am the truth. Or whatever it is. He asks, because Pontius Pilate looks at Jesus and he says, what is truth?
I think that is again in John.
Oh man, I gotta pull up.
I could be wrong though.
Dude, I'm getting smacked around. I'm like, come on. But I think Jesus absolutely does claim his divinity. I mean, there's no other reason than, because if that's the case, all the scriptures always talk about how the Sanhedrin and the Jewish leaders wanted to kill him for blasphemy because
they wanted to kill him because he was saying that he was the king of the Jews.
I thought the language was that he was the Son of God. I don't think it was that
they wanted to kill him because they thought he was healing people. They thought he was saying he was the king of the Jews. Not necessarily because they believed he was claiming to be God. I don't know if that's necessarily true.
I thought that was the main reason why they stoned him to death. According to
he was definitely claiming to be the Messiah.
He was claiming to be the Messiah, which the Messiah has to be the Son of God. The Messiah,
not for the Jews at the time. Not for the Jews at the time. The Jews at the time had a very different understanding of
they had a different understanding that the Messiah was a political leader.
Right.
But I thought it was...
And that claim to them, I think, was enough to kill him.
Yeah, okay. Because from my understanding, I thought it was that the Messiah was the Son of God. Because in Daniel it talks about, I see the Son of Man coming on the clouds.
He does claim to be the Son of Man, which is one of those really strong evidences to suggest that maybe he was claiming to be God. I think I am convinced by that. I don't know. I think there's evidence on both sides because but
when
it's definitely very, very possible, possibly even likely that he did claim to be God, but I don't think it really matters in the realm of the discussion that we're having.
Yeah.
I could go either way on that.
Yeah.
As of right now, because here's the thing: there's just so much literature on it.
Yeah.
There's so much literature on it, and I really need to explore that more.
Yeah.
It's one of my weaker philosophical areas, to be honest with you.
You're all right.
But in the terms of a discussion we're having, that innate human driving force of the fear of death, like his case falls under one of my two main exceptions, and that's that religious emotion, that either the belief that he was God or the belief that he had this very.
Have you heard the statement? He's either a liar, lunatic, or Lord. I mean, that's kind of what it is. Either he's lying, either he's crazy, or he really is who he says he is.
I would say either he's
God,
either he claims to be God.
Because if he is a liar, bro, he just conned.
I don't know about lying, though, because then lying, you have to prove some sort of malintent. Maybe, like, you really did believe that he was a prophet. Mm-hmm. But, like, maybe he could have been wrong.
Yes.
I think he was wrong. I don't think he was God. I don't think he was a prophet. But that doesn't mean I think he was a liar.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily... It doesn't necessarily mean he was... excuse me. It doesn't necessarily mean he was a lunatic either. So I wouldn't say I agree with that.
All right.
Yeah.
All right,
but I think in essence I'll say, like, no matter what, I think that driving force to religion, that driving force of really anything that humans do
is death.
Is that fear of death. I think it's so important. Let's get a taco down the hatch then.
Yeah, all right.
Fire.
Yes, we have fire coming up, guys. Which taco are we doing?
I'm doing the non-Dorito one.
Non-Dorito? Yeah, we'll save the Dorito for last. All right. Okay.
It's redder. It's more red.
It's redder?
It's yeah. It's not a word, but
is it the
I'm
blood
using
of Christ?
Maybe.
Bro,
it's possible.
Catholics get really mad at me. They'd be like, "It is the blood of Christ." I'm like, I don't know, man.
All right.
All right.
I'm a little bit scared.
Oh, you'll be all right, dude. Come on. Look, the only greater fear than death
is hot sauce.
Is death by hot sauce.
Hot sauce. Yeah. One more thing I fear than death is hot sauce.
Oh. That's not bad.
Light work.
Light work. It is a bit of a kick, though. I can feel it. It's coming on.
Slightly.
It's coming on. My next question for you, I was stuffing our face full of tacos, is that you once said...
Put mukbang in the title now.
What did you say?
You can put mukbang in the title now.
What?
Mukbang?
Mukbang?
Never seen that before?
What is mukbang?
Oh. Like those weird videos on YouTube when people are just like slurping down like gross amounts of food and not talking.
You know that one guy? What's his name?
I don't know. The one who eats with his kid?
Oh, Ted? No. Nico Avocado?
Oh, dude, that guy's weird.
Dude, that guy's crazy.
That guy's really weird.
That guy's crazy.
Oh.
Bro, he eats so much food. That's insane. Anyways, my next question for you, I might have a quote of you. You're like, Xane, how do you have a quote of me? I'm like, yeah, I know. I just remember.
What the heck, dude?
Yeah.
Writing down what I say?
Yeah. No, I just remember a conversation you had with someone. You once said that logic is scary.
Logic is scary.
Yes. I remember that.
Yeah, you gotta say, I don't remember.
You don't remember that?
I don't remember the context.
So, to give some context, we were on the missionary trip for this year, and we were in Nicaragua.
Okay.
And you were having a conversation with one of the main leaders there, with the woman.
Yep.
And you were talking about God, and you said, well, logic is scary. And you talked about how... You don't remember the conversation like that?
I remember the conversation, I just don't remember saying logic is scary.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I feel like maybe I had a purpose of saying it, I just don't remember the context.
Oh, man.
Do you remember why I said that?
Well, because you were talking about God, and you were talking about trying to understand and put the pieces together, and you were trying, I don't know, I thought you would remember it, but you were trying to put the pieces together with this woman, because you guys were talking about trying to understand God as a whole. And
right.
It was the fact that you can't fully understand God, and there has to be a certain amount of faith there. And then you talked about how logic is scary, and we're just trying to understand God. Her main point was it's a bit prideful to try to understand everything and then to know God, because you never will be able to.
Well, obviously, yeah. Okay, so the conversation was, kind of like that. But, I mean, obviously there's like a level of like of hubris in thinking that you could completely understand like God.
Yes.
But what she was saying was, because God is so complex, then we can never reason to God, because we're humans, and we're fixed by time, and we're not we're not omniscient, we're not maximally great, we are not God.
Yeah, we're not God.
Okay, and I said, okay, but there's a difference between thinking that you can fully understand God and thinking that you can reason to the existence of God.
Yeah.
And
absolutely. There is a difference. There's a difference between trying to, because that's what some people come to faith. They're like, well, I just need this amount of reason, and then I'll believe. And there's a difference in saying, once I know everything, then I'll believe in God. It's like
right.
That's a prideful statement, because that will never be. Also,
right, because you have to come to grips with the fact that you're not going to know everything. Everyone has to come to that.
So every time I bite into a taco, I keep coming into your frame. It's pretty funny. Hi guys, I'm sorry. This has happened like twice now. So, yeah, sorry about that, guys. No blame on the guy running the cams here. Every time I bite down though, like it's like I'm an old man and I gotta like come down like, I don't know. I just don't want to bite right next to the mic because you feel like now you're in an ASMR video. Anyways, Ian, as you were saying.
I have no idea what I was saying.
Okay.
Like you're really coming over to say hi. I was a little,
Oh, yeah, sorry, I got in your personal space, man.
It's okay. But yeah, I'd say like, to those Christians who don't think that you can reason to God, I would strongly challenge that, because I think, like, how could you not be able to reason to God? How could he be maximally good, but make it so that those people who are more inclined to reason cannot find him and have a relationship with him?
Yeah.
And also, it just doesn't seem to make any sense to me that you can't analyze the circumstances that you're in. Like, you don't have to have all of the knowledge that God has
in order to believe.
In order to believe in him, that it doesn't really make any sense to me.
Yeah. Okay.
So, and there are some Christians out there. There's a lot of Christians out there. I mean, apologetics is incredibly niche, actually, because most Christians just, like, they have that feeling, that desire for God, and I think really what that is that, honestly, that the desire for something bigger than themselves, a desire for meaning, for purpose. And I think that what happens is the situation that you're born into just influences.
Absolutely, it does.
What you think that thing that is bigger than you is. Yeah. And for a lot of people, that happens to be
God.
Christianity.
Yeah.
The Christian God.
Okay. So, Ian, before we move on to our final question, we will now indulge in the final taco.
Diablo.
And it is black. Probably just how my stool will be after this.
Okay. Interesting.
Interesting? Yeah.
Well, there's no warning.
There's no warning, so it's fine.
So that's a good sign.
Dude, that Dorito shell tastes
that means
fantastic.
We won't die.
No. Honestly, though, some people can't stomach Taco Bell. I can. I'm just like, how can you not?
Taco Bell is delicious.
Some people are like, bro, I can't eat Taco Bell.
It's a once in a while thing, but...
Oh,
all right, what are we doing? Just like big dot, one bite here? I think that's what I'm going to go for.
You're going to go big dot? Oh no, I got it all over the side.
There we go.
Here we go.
All right, we need a cheers for this, too.
All right, yeah, I got it.
Hypocrite. 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 All right, ready?
All right.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh, my God.
Oh, man. Wow. Okay. Well, that's pleasant. Not really, but okay. Kind of wish I
Letting it sink in.
didn't do that. Yeah. I know. I am a bit of a hypocrite. I just got on to you about how the sauce is on the table.
All right, honestly, we've learned from this. Hold on. It's kicking in.
Okay.
No, actually, I disagree. No.
Still sliding?
It's okay.
Yeah.
Honestly, Taco Bell needs to step it up. I'm going to be real. Taco Bell needs to step it up. That's not that bad. And I can't even do spice.
All right. Okay.
All right.
So, Ian, my final question for you.
The grand finale.
The grand finale. You talk about... Actually, this might be a two-parter because I just want to go down a bit of a rabbit hole with you. Someone who's able to defend the Christian faith so well, as you just said, how could someone not as Christians, how could you not reason to God, right? You yourself have yet to reason to God. And I don't know. I look at you and I say, well, how are you not able to reason to God? What allows you to say you should be able to reason to God, but you sit here with me and you still haven't been able to reason to God? Is there an exception?
Interesting question. Well, there are some extremely smart people way smarter than me, that have reasoned to God. Isaac Newton, Leibniz, plenty of Christian philosophers, Bill Craig, great Christian philosopher. They have been able to reason to God. And I don't see why there's any reason to think that we can't. Now, just because I don't think that it's true doesn't mean it's like an irrational thing to think or something that you can't reason to. Like, say like in like a political discussion, I think socialism, well, actually that's unreasonable. So, but like, like welfare, like certain welfare systems or certain left-leaning positions, I think you can reason to them. I think they're reasonable positions to have. I think they fail in the end. Yeah. That doesn't mean that I don't think you can reason to them, right? It's still an argument it's still a rational argument.
Yeah.
Just because I don't agree with it doesn't mean it's not a rational argument. That's why I say that.
So, what keeps you from the rationality then?
Oh my gosh.
You good?
I breathed it in.
You breathe what in?
The hot sauce.
Oh, dude. You good, man?
I'm good. All right. Continue.
Oh, you got watery eyes, brother.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
So I was saying, what keeps you from the rationality thing? Because you're not saying that you like. You said that they're rational. Like.
What keeps me from believing? In
well,
God?
yeah. What keeps you from believing? I guess. Have you had this question asked you before?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah.
I'd say obviously like the problem of evil. Like there are some sufferings that we see in our world, particularly
Animal.
Yeah, that's part
one,
of it.
Yeah.
Like, I'll give you a few examples.
Yeah.
I mean, the unnecessary suffering of animals for millions of years, while humans are not even existing on the earth. We are not even a species yet. Another sort of suffering that I think God could alleviate is those who try their best to seek Him and want to accept Him, but don't because they just don't think that He exists. In philosophy, we call those...
Wait, could you say that again one more time?
Those who want to believe in God, who want to accept Him, but they can't because they don't believe He exists.
So, in other words, there's not enough reason for them to believe?
Unresistant unbelievers is what they're called.
Unresistant?
Like, yeah. Like, they're not resisting
They
God.
want to
There's
believe
no,
in God.
like,
They just don't see enough reason to?
Exactly.
Do you think that... I mean, because you would be that then, yes or no?
I would hope so.
I see that because
there's no really way to know.
I would say if someone is truly seeking God and they're trying to find Him and they get, like, let's say they get before judgment, if God is an all-loving, all-merciful, and yet judging, I think in that very case He would say, well, I am before you now.
But He's not saying that.
What do you mean? Because I think if God's all-merciful and all-judgmental and all-powerful, I think He could make a stance and say, well, like, if you were to reach before God, then you could have Christ there, and He could basically say, "Do you want me?" It's basically.
Yeah, but in what way does He do that? I've never seen God. He's never asked me if I want Him.
That's very true. I would say though that in the Bible it does offer that opportunity to you, just because God doesn't personally come to you and say, "Ian, do you want me?" Because if He did, I mean.
Right, that's Paul's idea of thinking that, like, there is no excuse for there to be unresisting believers.
I'm saying
here's the thing. I mean, Paul believes that he had an encounter with God, which it seems a little bit hypocritical. But you're like, oh, like, so you're the one who got to directly have this encounter with God. I've never gotten that. Who are you to say that I can know? I think he says, what does he say in the Bible? Something about like just from the existence of the thumb or something like that. That made me,
for me,
conflating two things.
For me, I think
but he says from like just from nature alone.
He does.
You should be able to reason to God.
Exactly.
Right?
He does. Yeah.
But he didn't do that.
Yeah. Well, I would say Paul's transformation is so radical. And I'm not saying transformations can't happen like that now. Mm-hmm. But I mean, how does a man who is recorded killing Christians goes to fervently following Christianity to the point of martyrdom? I'm like, okay, something very well could have happened there, because what makes a man abandon all of his values that he stuck to tradition to, that dates back hundreds of thousands of years, for him to say, actually, the Messiah has come, which literally means he is on death. Like, they will now want to kill him. Right. And that's such an insane shift.
Yeah.
I would say maybe, but then also there's the fact of, well, like, what else would cause that, because it seems like he's getting a free pass here.
Well, it certainly seems like he believed that he encountered God. Yeah. But I mean, there's not really any reason to believe to think that his belief is correct. Right? Maybe he believed. I mean, maybe he was having. I'm sure killing a lot of innocent people fills you with grief. Maybe this is a psychological result of his grief. Like, he believed that he had an experience that he didn't
believe what he was doing was wrong, though. He believed that what he was doing was right.
I don't know if he
in the eyes of the law.
says that.
Well, he literally.
I mean, I guess yeah.
It's recorded that he pulls people out of their homes.
Outwardly, he is portraying the fact that he thinks it's right, but his internal psychology has. I mean, or even his subconscious psychology. Yeah. Right. Maybe he's suppressing those deep feelings of guilt.
Maybe.
And maybe that built up in him and created this experience.
Yeah.
It's very possible. I mean, there are psychological cases like this.
Yeah.
Where
I would say to what you're asking about, though, talking about where would God, like, because there's a story of, not a story, but like if a person has like, if all the person understands to be God is an ashram pole, and that's all they've ever known is God, as like say an idol, like say just like just take Indians for example. They did encounter the Americans, but all they had were those poles, and they believed what God is, whatever. If a man looks around and he says, I don't know what God is based off this, but I'm going to try to pursue God in some way, in my mind, not even I'm okay with saying that man should be deserving to be condemned to hell.
Right.
Because I'm like, there must be some way for God to be as reasonable as possible.
And why not just reveal himself to them?
Why not? Okay.
Why wait till they're dead? Why not reveal himself on Earth? He did it to some people. Why didn't he do it to them? Right? Yeah. It doesn't really make much sense to me.
Why miracles? Well, not miracles, but why does godly appearances
why do godly appearances? Why do they only happen in front of people who already believe in it?
I think the good question is
not
the good question, but the answer to that is that there's people who quite literally have answered, if God did appear before you, would you believe? And some people still say no.
Right, but we're not talking about that.
Yeah.
We're talking about like me. Like, I think so. I could be wrong, but I would consider myself an unresistant unbeliever. Yeah. I could be wrong.
Oh, yeah.
There's always that possibility.
Because there's always
if God presented himself to me, of course I would believe.
What makes you well, my question is, what
even
makes
God can make a world in which all of those people who really seek him and want to be with him can rationally come to that position.
My question is, like, what gives you the right to say that God should need to stand before me while there's others who've been able to reason their way to God? Others, why do you need the free pass to them to say, well, I need God to appear before me in order for me to believe?
Right, because I'm not convinced by the same things that they're convinced by.
So you'd say you just have a different reason.
And I can't I can't control that though, can I?
I would say
I don't think it's true.
You can though.
Like I don't think Christianity is true. Like I can't force myself to believe something that's not true.
I think you can control how much reason is needed for you to believe something. Because in other words, you can take the equation 1 + 1. Now, could there be a complex and long explanation in arithmetic to why 1 + 1 = 1? Yes. However, if I took 2 apples. What?
1 + 1 = 2.
1 + 1 = 2, right? What did I say?
You said 1 + 1 = 1. I'm just messing
with you. Man. I was like, dude. Okay. So, but if you just took one apple and another apple, and then you put them together, you said, hey, here's 2 apples. You're like, that satisfies it for me.
Right.
If you said.
I wish it was that simple.
If you
with
said
God.
circles, yeah, I know. But you said circles are real, and then you have, here's pi, here's arc, cosine, tangent, here's sine, blah, blah, blah. But you say, look, just here's a circle. And you're like, oh, that's possible. Yeah. It's right there. People have come to the reason of God, and if you're saying, well, I need more than that, then maybe I would say it is a bit prideful to me, because I'm like, well, other people have been able to be convinced by the reasons that are not seeming to convince you, and if you can't decide how much reason will ever be needed to satisfy that threshold, then I would say it's a bit prideful, because you're not willing to believe in God because you just keep saying the reason that I'm fine.
I never said I wasn't willing. I'm willing. Yeah. I want to be a Christian.
Willing, but the reasons.
But unable.
But you're unable, and I think it's
what is the reason for that?
I would say it's because of you. I say there's
my choice.
I would say it's your choice. There's no one else.
But then, if it's my choice, then I'm not willing.
Well, I would say it is your reason that you are not coming to the faith because you yourself have not found enough sufficient reason. No one's holding you back.
Am I in other words, what does that look like though? Because I feel like, I read a lot of philosophy.
Okay.
I look at all the evidence that I can. I spend, way too much time on this stuff, to be honest.
Well, yeah, no, but you spend
it really
so
seems
much...
to me like okay, I'm not convinced. Why am I not convinced? Because I don't think the evidence has reached the threshold. What is the threshold? I don't control it.
I think you do control the threshold.
In what sense do I control
In
the
what
threshold?
sense? I think you can control
The threshold for me,
I think you can
which
control,
is as low as I could possibly
well,
set
I
it.
think that is the fact is faith. Faith has reason, and then it has a part that, because every Christian has faith in the sense that they do not know everything, right? And I think there's a part of you that has to say, I don't know everything, and then you're gonna just have to let that be. And you said, I can still have these reasons here, and I can say, I think this is the most likely outcome, but you control that threshold. And if you're gonna continually say and put in other words, say, I have no control over the threshold, and until I'm somehow gonna cross that threshold, even though I don't know how to, I think you're really playing into your own hands, is what I would say.
Let me try to give you an example.
Go ahead.
I am going to convince you that circles can be squares.
Dude.
Right? I'm gonna convince you that. I'm going to give you a really extensive reasoning process. I'm going to give you all the evidence that I can. And in the end, are you going to believe me?
Probably not, because it's illogical.
Right. You don't think it's true.
No, because it's impossible.
So then how could, and you've looked at all the evidence, and after you look at all the evidence,
Yeah.
you still don't think it's true.
Yeah.
Can you believe it?
No.
Right.
Right.
I've looked at all the evidence that I can.
Yeah.
As to this point, I'm still looking at more evidence.
Yeah.
I'm going. I'm pursuing truth.
Yes.
But as this far, as to this point,
Yeah.
I've looked at the evidence. I've considered it very thoughtfully. I'm not convinced. I don't think it's true. So how can I believe?
You have to have faith. That's what I would say. That's what I would tell you. Because if you're extensively keep looking into it, and I respect it. You're a diligent person. Some believers aren't. They just say, you know what? I don't need any reason. I just believe in God because my parents went to church.
Yeah.
You're extensively looking into it, and I say, hey man, dude, keep going. But
right.
You will never have enough reason to satisfy the doubt that still exists.
But why would God ever? I've never said I have to satisfy my doubt. I just want enough evidence for me to believe that God is real.
And
that's all I want.
And in doing that, you satisfy the doubt that it's existing.
Well, then no, because I could still believe in God and still have doubts. I mean,
but
even
saying,
the strongest Christians still have doubts. I don't want to satisfy my doubts.
What I'm saying
I'm not expecting 100% certainty.
You still have doubts, but your reason is, in other words, it isn't disregard, but it's basically your reason is more powerful than the doubts that you have.
Right. I just want that. That's all I want.
Yeah, and I feel like you're just denying that from yourself.
How am I denying that for myself? If I want it, I'm seeking it. I want it to be true, but I don't think it's true. Am I supposed to why would I think something to be like? I think you would assume that I have good reason to think so. I'm in a rational position. Yeah. We could discuss that more. Maybe you don't think I'm in a rational position, but no. I think I'm in a rational position. What reason do I have then to just throw that all out the window and just I'm a Christian?
I'm not saying you threw
what reason do I have to bridge that gap, just faith?
I would argue it is faith because you have so much. I mean,
but isn't there a reason for that? Let's say this. Let's say I commit to Christ right now. Mm-hmm. I just bridge that gap with faith, but I'm still not convinced.
Yeah.
I'm still not convinced because we can't change that. We've established we can't change that.
Yeah. Okay.
But I proclaim that I believe in God.
Okay. How
is that a relationship with God? I'm basically trying to form a relationship with something, one, that I'm not really sure exists, and two, the motivation for that is not the correct motivation. It's not the motivation that I think he exists and I want to form a loving relationship with him. It's because I'm believing something because I want it to be true. So now I'm just acting off of wishful thinking.
Yeah. And
that seems like a relationship with God that I don't want.
What kind of relationship do you want with God?
I want a relationship with God in which I believe he is true.
Mm-hmm. And you're still going to have doubts about that, right?
And I can still have doubts about that, but I just want, you know what? Yeah, literally all I'm asking for is a relationship with God in which I believe he is real.
And I would ask, have you sought that out?
Yeah, I would say so.
I would say, how so?
through all of the philosophical inquiry.
Have you ever?
I would say
a relationship.
Let me.
Yeah,
like,
go ahead. No, you can correct yourself if you'd like to.
I surround myself with Christians.
Yeah.
I've gone to church.
Okay.
My own free will. My parents don't force me.
Okay.
I've read the Bible, not through and through. I've studied some of it. I take Bible classes that I don't necessarily need to take.
Okay.
I read philosophical books almost exclusively from the Christian point of view, mostly because I like to read things that I disagree with, and also because the greatest influence on my philosophical journey is Mr. Stewart, and he's a Christian, so when he recommends books, they're usually from the Christian perspective.
Yeah.
There's two reasons for that.
Yeah.
I've taken a lot of steps. I've taken more steps than most Christians, and I'm not convinced. Is it still my fault? It seems like I've done way more than a lot of Christians have.
No, you have, yeah.
Right?
But
it's still my fault.
So then, what are you asking for then to believe in God?
There's two possible ways to take this.
What is your record?
God can either
appear to you.
He could appear to me.
Which is a bit, I would say a bit.
It could be true. It's one of the. Why is that prideful though? Why would God, who is maximally good, who really seeks a relationship with me,
yes,
let me go through this life wanting to meet him but not being able to? How could he let that happen when he has the power to stop it? And God is maximally good.
Yes.
So I would say I would commit to the fact that God wants to create a relationship with everyone that he can. So he wants to create a relationship with me. God is also maximally great. He's maximally powerful. So that means that he has the ability to do so.
Yeah.
So if he's maximally good and maximally great, either he's not one of those things because he's not doing it. Yeah. And so he's supposed to be maximally good and he's maximally great.
Yeah.
And it's not happening. So it's either he's not maximally good or maximally great, which mean that he's not God.
Yeah.
Or he doesn't want a relationship with everyone, which what I would also say means he's not God.
Yeah, which means he's not God. Yeah.
Right. So what is the reason
for not appearing to you?
Or not creating a world in which someone who really seeks God and wants to accept him.
Do you think you're the first person in your position?
No, absolutely not.
No. Have you ever read about people in your position?
I think there's a lot of them in philosophy today.
In philosophy, oh yeah.
Or at least some of them.
What do they do?
What?
What do they do?
I think Jordan Peterson.
Yeah, Jordan Peterson's good.
Jordan Peterson is great. He's a great psychologist. He's a great mind. He's a great thinker. He loves the Bible. He does whole series on studying the Bible. He goes to church. Yet when he's asked the question, are the things in the Bible really true? Did they actually happen? He says no. What motivation does he have for saying no, except the fact that he just doesn't believe that it's real?
Okay.
I pose that question to listeners. It's really difficult to answer.
It is hard to answer.
And then finally,
yeah.
So we've gone over animal suffering. We've gone over the hiddenness of God. And finally...
So I want to ask, you talk about rights are fundamental to people. I think you know where this question is going.
Yeah.
Rights are fundamental. Certain things are fundamental. You once said in a history class that totalitarian regimes are inherently immoral. From your worldview, what allows you to say that things are inherently right and wrong? Because you don't appeal to a standard. Or one I find I'm unaware of. Because you have not stated that you appeal to a standard.
Right.
You can't say things are wrong or right. Mm-hmm. Maybe you can. And maybe I can't say things are wrong or right simply because I appeal to a God.
Here's the thing. I don't think you can either. I don't think anyone can.
Right.
So
right or wrong is just merely...
Really, we're all just living this great noble lie. Yeah. And honestly...
Because that means right and wrong is an illusion.
Somewhat. Yeah, seems that way.
Is truth then an illusion?
Because I don't think so.
No.
I mean, I think we'd have to remain like agnostic to that position because I think it's like impossible.
Well, right or wrong then also entails good reason and bad reason, I would say. I would say sufficient.
No. Because there's a difference between reason and morality.
Okay.
I would say like I'm not really convinced that anyone can ground morality. in something objective. To be honest with you, even theists.
So then, you just do what's good based off emotional.
Yeah.
Driving sense.
Unfortunately.
So, is there necessarily anything inherently wrong with society? In other words, there's nothing like socialism can't be inherently immoral. Taking away people's rights can't inherently be immoral. Genocide, rape. I mean, those things just can't. Like they're just not immoral anymore. It's simply the illusion. That's a bit depressing to live.
Yeah, it sucks, but it's very possible that it's so. I don't know how to get out of that.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things that we might have to accept as true.
Then you just have to accept that it's true. What do you mean?
Like maybe it's just one of those things that we may not like, but maybe it's true. And maybe there is no way to objectively ground morality, but in a realistic, in an actual context, I'm still gonna go and fight for the rights that I believe people have.
Have you ever tried taking that approach with God?
What do you mean?
In other words, what I see here is that you, in terms of morality, there is no grounding for it. You just fight for the rights that you think people have. Have you ever just? And let's
put it this way.
Yeah.
I fight to the death for those rights because maybe they're subjective, maybe so, but I am not willing to live in a world in which they are not protected. I don't think it's worth living that world. And that's the deep feeling that I have. And
that to defend people's rights.
Yeah.
Even the rights that don't exist according to you. Because
that are objectively grounded. I still think they exist. They're just not objectively grounded.
They're just okay. Well, okay. Rights are innate, or are they given by the government? Because if you're going to say that they exist, well, I think they only exist. I think if according to you, then they're only a human construct. Rights are only a human construct. Then, if they exist, they only exist inside of our illusion of good and evil.
Right.
Therefore, I would say that they, as good and evil, are merely an illusion. Human rights is merely an illusion. But then the question is,
objectively speaking,
or do illusions really exist?
What?
Is what I would ask.
Well, I mean,
like we have the illusion of good and evil.
Right.
So then the question is, well, do good and
are
good and evil real? Are they real?
Are they really? They're not really objective. So you could say that the rights aren't objective.
Well, I'm saying, do they really?
And you know
exist?
what? Maybe. I don't know. I really don't know. I've never been convinced by this, by any sort of objective morality argument.
Yeah.
But I still. Maybe they're not external to government. But like I said before, they're so important to me and my identity and the way that I think society should be constructed that I am just literally not willing to live in a world. And by saying that, I mean I wouldn't kill myself if we didn't have rights. What I'm saying by that is I believe in them so strongly that I'm willing to risk my life for them because I just don't think it's worth not living with them.
Because if I can use this terminology, is it because it's what you worship? Nearly? And I'm not trying to make an argument by that, but it could be. It could be. In other words, it's the driving desire of your life.
Is to see humans flourish. Maybe it's one of them.
Yeah. Do you think human flourishing is good?
Objectively speaking, I don't think I could ground that.
Yeah.
But I think it's extremely important.
I would say that is a bit of a problem from your world.
It's a huge problem. It's a huge problem.
Yeah,
it's possible that it's inescapable.
Yeah.
And it's just like, well, what are we gonna do then? And it's like, I don't know.
And it's like, well, appeal to God, but if you have not enough, but that's the thing. Then you don't have
enough
evidence to appeal to God, then you're just in a paradox. Well, not a paradox, but you're in a
really bad.
You're
situation.
in a dilemma.
Yeah.
You're either gonna live a life that so you're caught between the dilemma that you're living a life that is not ungrounded, but in other words, it is uncertain, or to live a life that you don't believe to be true.
Mm-hmm.
So no matter,
I guess I have to live that uncertain life.
I guess the life that you're living in as of right now, both lives you choose as of right now, neither one will bring about the truth, which, as you said, that is what you seek out.
Yeah. So it's like
So as you continue,
so really, like, I try to be as logical as I can, but I still fail because in reality, when we come into like a practical situation, like there is no reason for me to tell another man that he is wrong about something moral. There is no reason for me to tell a man that he shouldn't kill.
I mean, you see that as an issue, though, no?
And
I mean,
yeah,
I see
no, it's
that
a
as
huge
an issue.
issue.
I mean,
It's a huge issue.
It's an issue because
there's some of this like deep like emotion in me that disagrees with that.
Exactly, and it's just like,
but like that doesn't say, it doesn't, just because I have that deep emotion doesn't mean that it's objectively grounded.
Doesn't mean it's objectively grounded.
Right.
True.
So it's like I don't know. I haven't really thought about this as much as I should have, because really the reason for that is like I don't see any other way out. Like what's the solution? We just like descend into anarchy and moral depravity? Like, I don't really want to do that.
There won't be any moral depravity if there's no right or wrong.
Right? Yeah.
Exactly. That means you can
So we just descend into
in your world,
into
you can
violence and hedonism.
Yeah. Well, I mean, basically,
I don't want to do that.
Well, that's what you can.
And I think a lot of people don't want to do that.
No, they don't want to do that because for some reason
maybe there is no solution to that problem, and we have to contend with that fact. And I think, it's scary.
I mean, because if that's the case, I mean, it sounds very appealing to me. I don't say this sarcastically, but if I could be morally depraved, if I could go against what anything that the Bible says, in other words, I don't have to be a man of God. There's no purity. I don't have to be generous. I don't have to be kind. I don't have to have self-control. I don't have to have patience. I mean, that's very tempting.
Yeah.
To just say, oh, you know what? You can be morally depraved, and not only that, you can be shameless about it, knowing that nobody can tell you you're wrong.
Yeah. We have to face. Almost just fell. For anybody who's watching.
I know. I goodness.
That was bad. We have to contend with that, and there are limits to my knowledge. This is one of them.
Yeah.
I really I've thought a good amount about what the solution to this would be, and I don't know. I really don't know.
And what is the main problem again? No, I'm ending the conversation, but I really want to research this further because you've really piqued my interest. So like, what would you say this problem would be if you could capture it like all like in like a sentence so I can remember it and go research it later? Because
what do you mean?
Like the whole thing of like your reason with God and this problem as well. So one problem is moral depravity, right? I would say.
My problems, like I'm not.
So moral depravity, and then with the other way to live life, right?
Are basically, are you saying like
the main issues of the lives that if you chose to lead them, basically. So we have this life here.
Okay, so it's basically like.
And this life is.
How do we reconcile? Not descending into hedonism, not descending into anarchy, not descending into chaos.
Mm-hmm. Which you could then say, well,
without grounding them in something objective.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I mean
it's okay.
So there's that, and then with God, it's So what? It's
the problems that I have with God for reasons why I don't think He exists.
Yeah.
I would say the problem of animal suffering. The problem of divine hiddenness.
I'm gonna write these down so I can
do that.
I would, dude. I might have to do a double feature.
These are the greatest problems that face God. The problem of animal suffering.
Animal suffering.
The problem of divine hiddenness. And the problem of natural evils.
Divine hiddenness. Natural evils, you said?
Mm-hmm.
And then for the other one, natural evils. And then the question that you're living in right now with morality.
Right. How do we live in a world that does not descend into hedonism, anarchy, and chaos without having some way to ground morality objectively?
How do we live in a world that does not descend into just moral depravity?
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Without what?
Without grounding morality in something objective.
Objective. Dude, like this honestly gets me excited. This is what stops me from sleeping at night.
Right.
It's like, yo, what if we stay up till 1 a.m. and we try to figure out this question right now, and then you get to the end of
my brain.
What did you say?
This happens to me sometimes.
Dude, you get those questions. No, you ever have those fever weeks though, where you really get a question nagging you for like days on end, and like all you can do is think about it. You'll like look at all the videos. You'll be like, all right, like give me everything I can know about this topic, and like you just dive straight into it.
Yeah.
And you try to get to the bottom of the iceberg, but always
it's like me
that.
every weekend with the book.
Dude.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
All right. Well, guys, thank you for coming out to Taco Time. Ian, I did this with Ashton. Anything to say to the fans?
No.
No. Okay.
I don't think so.
Great.
I think the conversation speaks for itself.
All right. Deep and Wise Words by Ian Bowden.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys for coming out. If you ever want to get philosophical, just eat some tacos, and you too can be like Eden.
You could. Yep.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right.
All right.
Awesome.
Dude, thanks for coming out. Dude, those questions, man. I need to find those out. Ian's like, I already tried it. Too many times.